Good morning. Got a great shot of my husband there. Hello, everybody. Welcome in, Missing Southern Charm. Hello, hello. Hi, Kelly. Chaco Dog. How are you guys today? Happy Friday. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. If you are new here, my name is Tracy. That handsome man you saw very briefly at the beginning is my husband, Noel. We are a husband and wife team. He tries to stay behind the scenes just doing our graphics, but we got a quick little view.
Sorry, guys, leftover from the last show.
All right. So thank goodness it's Friday. I don't know about y'all, but I have had such a long week. I was in Jackson, Mississippi, of all places, all week long. Beautiful little town. I don't know if any of you have ever been there. Really pretty little town. But I was there working, so I didn't get to go and see a bunch. Good morning, I Love Discounts. I just got a text, everybody, from I Love Discounts. Lysandra is sitting on a gorgeous beach watching the sunrise right now. I am just a little bit jealous of that fact. So, you grew up in North Jackson, Chaco Dog. How cool. Yeah, I got to drive around a little bit. I ate some great food. You guys got to excuse me. My eye is like watering like crazy today. One of the best things about work trips, for me anyways, is we get to go out to dinner every night. So every night's like a networking thing. So I got to eat some great food. There's some wonderful restaurants there. Got some really good Cajun food while I was there. So loved it. Anyways, today we're going to talk about inventory. But before we do that, I just want to tell you about a couple of things going on. Good morning, Gabrielle. Tonight, 7 o'clock is the 12 on 12 raid train. It is hosted by JJ Shopper and CG Boomerang Echo. There's about 20 something sellers. I think we counted like 23 sellers tonight. Oh, very key. Kiefer's Greek. Oh, okay. I'll have to note that. There's a good chance I will go back before the end of the year, just with what's going on with my day job. So tonight, 7 o'clock, come see this raid train. Where every seller's just selling their normal things. There's not like a theme, but this is the very last numbers raid train that CG Boomerang and JJ Shopper are going to do together. So this is it. They've been doing it for 2 years, every single month. But what is going to be so fun about tonight's train is every seller has to pick one of the 12 days of Christmas to dress up as. I got my costume. We got everything set. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see what everybody else. And I'm not copping out. I'm not doing a partridge in a pear tree. I ain't going for the easy stuff. We're going for the hard stuff. So you got to come and see that. Yes, please bookmark. So that's pretty much all that's going on. I do have a show tomorrow, French Country. I did have to push it back a little bit. And I probably shouldn't have admit this. I pushed it back for personal reasons. There is a huge Christmas vintage antique show in town, and I am going to go there tomorrow and hopefully source all kinds of cool stuff. So I had to push my show back a little bit because I say in town, you keep in mind we live in the country, so in town means I have to drive 2 hours to get there. So I will be here tomorrow too, but it won't be till like 6 or 6:30 at night, I think, is when I scheduled the show for. Yeah, I cannot wait. Y'all should just drive up here. You got enough time. You can get here by tomorrow. You leave now from Georgia. You could be here by tomorrow. All right. So let's talk inventory today. Please, as always, put your questions in the chat. Anything inventory or anything else. It doesn't matter. I do have a giveaway going. All the giveaways today are 2 postcards. Maybe not these exact 2, but you'll get 1 modern, 1 vintage one. That is all the giveaways today. So inventory. I came up with like 10 inventory concerns, and I thought I'll just go down the list and we'll just talk about the concepts around each concern. But there may be ones that I didn't think about. So if there's something about inventory on your mind, let's talk about it. So the first thing I came up with is identifying top selling items. So, and I don't know if you guys consider that a concern, but to me it is, because I want to know what I need to sell, right? I'm not follow the trends. We do some trendy stuff, but I believe more in the tried and true and kind of the classic approach, not always just what's hot. But knowing what's hot in your category can help you, bring what your buyers want, right? Let's talk about vintage for a second. Butter Pats, Hens on Nest, right? Those are 2 things that I know if I see them out in the wild, I am grabbing them right away. But how do we know this besides watching other shows? What does curated for clothes mean? I think that can mean a lot of things, but when I think curated, It means it is a specially selected based on some type of criteria or theme that you handpick each and every item that is going into that show. It's not just let's open a box and see what we got. It's more of I'm going to do all little girls' clothes in pink, or it's usually like something that you are handpicking. You are personally setting up some type of theme. If anybody else, again, too, here's the other thing, you guys. I don't know everything, and everything I say is my opinion. If anybody asks questions in the chat, please feel free to answer each other too. The more thoughts, the better. We will learn more from each other. Good morning, Shop with Shells. Okay, so I was talking picking up. Oh, there you go. What beachy Sundays? Perfect. So like that, and that could be like a curated theme. So what kind of clothes would you pick out for beachy Sundays? Flowy dresses or whatever it may be. Love the theme. And that's a perfect example of something that's curated. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a theme. It could, well, I guess it would be a theme too, but it could just be like specific vintage tees or rock and roll tees. So I guess that is a theme if we go with like rock and roll tees. Okay. So when you're thinking about some of the concerns about the top sellers, one of mine is I'm going to run out of items, right? Everybody wants butter pats. I'm not going to be able to produce enough or find enough in the wild. So some of the things to maybe keep in mind with that is have a backup shelf. You don't have to show all your inventory. Like you don't have to, if I have 20 butter pats, I don't have to bring them all out. I can bring 5 of them out, see how they're doing. Are they getting bid up? Am I getting the prices I want? And then if you are, go say, oh, wait, I've got some more. Let me grab some more. You don't always have to bring out all of your inventory. There's kind of a downside to that too. If you have too many of one thing, it could devalue what you have. People are like, oh, there's some more coming. And have you guys heard sellers? I hear sellers do this all the time. Don't bid this up, you guys. It's okay. I have another one. And I make that mistake myself saying, y'all, I have 2 of these. Why? Why are we, especially if you're doing random polls, we're almost shooting ourselves in the foot when we do that. And we got a guilty. Yeah. And I think we all have some, like we kind of do it without knowing it sometimes. Thank you for sharing the show. So just kind of think about that. Scarcity drives price up. Thinking that you're going to miss out on something drives a price up. So particularly when you have those top selling items, unless you're doing a full show based on it, like I'll go back to House of Coop did their Hens on Nest show, I don't know, a month or so ago. And that just drew so much hype. But unless you're building a whole show around it, you might not want to throw that many out there at one time. Now, it's just an idea. Let's see. Repeat show sellers. So identifying what sells every time in your show. So maybe we're not talking trendy or hot ticket items, but what in your show is a good, consistent seller for you? Definition of curated. Oh, thank you, Choco Dog. Carefully chosen and thoughtfully organized and presented. There you go. I love it. So something that you are thinking through to pick and showing it in a great way. I would venture to say like Upcycled by Bree is a curated show. While it might not be a specific theme, the way she presents it is gorgeous. Let's see who's getting those first 2 postcards. A monster, Mama. Congratulations. Those are going to you. We'll do another one. Okay. So identifying your repeat sellers. It doesn't have to be the trendy items, no matter what category you're in. It doesn't have to be the trendy things, but take time after every single show to just take a second and step back from looking at the numbers. Yes, I just said that. As CPA, I said, don't look at the numbers for a second. Just take another look at your show and just look at the items. What is it that sold? Was there something that surprised you? Has that type of item sold a couple of times for you and you were just really surprised? One of those things that I identified for me that really surprised me is Feldscrap and Lenox. They may not be like big ticket items, but they sell pretty much every time I put them in a show. Surprisingly for me, I never would have thought that. I instantly go to what's trending in my head, and not when I look back at my shows, I can identify other things that people want that aren't really super high trending things. You'll also see this if you're paying attention on Whatnot. Raid trains that tend to be popular, that repeat month after month, might not be trending items, but there are items and categories that people are looking for. Primitive, there's a primitive raid train every month. There's another one, Southern Charm or Choco Dog, maybe you can help me out. It's something with spools. I know both of you guys have been on it. Southern Charm, I think you're on it almost every month. Put a spin on it. I think that's the name of it. And those are popular raid trains that maybe they're not bringing in, put a spin on it. Yes. Maybe they're not bringing in thousands of people, but they consistently draw a crowd month after month. Why? Because the items in it is something that people want, even if they're not super trendy, like Hens on Nest or Butter Pats for the vintage category. Rusty Krusty, exactly. Rusty Krusty, the primitives of Rusty Krusty is big. So identifying, if you look in your show, what is it that seems to sell every time you have one? Maybe it's, hey, every time I bring out, a band tee, it sells like crazy. It doesn't matter which band it is, but every time I bring a band tee, it sells. So those are the type of ways to look back at your show. It's just another way to analyze what's going on, but will help identify those good things in inventory that, okay, every time I'm out, I'm going to make sure I'm keeping my eye out for these certain types of items. And some of it starts to come naturally as you do this longer, but for the newer sellers, really take a minute and think, okay, what caused a bidding war? Even if it didn't go for a super high price. I'm not talking about things that always have to sell high dollar, high value, but think about what just caused a bidding war, especially when you're new. There's a lot of times when you're just starting out that you'll get one person to bid on something and they buy it and that's it. I remember the first time I had a bidding war happen in a show and I'm like looking at my husband like, oh my God, look, like more than one person wants this item. So watch those things. Watch which ones that people are kind of fighting for. What else can we say? So when you identify those items, keep some in reserve. Have some of that, and either do theme shows around it, or just have some that you can pull into every show. And these are kind of like those your bread and butter items, right? I've identified the themes. I've been very successful in doing theme shows. So every Saturday is a different theme. I moved to condensing some of my themes together, and it's not like this is going to be forever. This may change. This may come and go. The minute I see blue and white quits producing any money for me, that's out the door. Maybe it's going to be green and white or something else. I don't know. So just looking at that, a way of analyzing some of your information when it pertains to inventory, that's not always numbers driven. Here's a big one. So here's another concern that's a really big concern. Stale inventory. What do you do with stale inventory? How do you handle it? How many times? A green would be lovely, wouldn't it? It's hard to find. Every now and then I'll see some green and white. What do we do with our stale inventory? What is stale inventory? Let me tell you. And you can have different definitions. Here's one of the things that you need to decide for yourself: what constitutes stale for you. What constitutes stale for jewelry, clothing, or vintage could be completely different. Donate it. Yep, that's one of the ways to get rid of it, is to donate it. But first you have to define it. You have to define, what does stale mean for you in your inventory? A quick rule of thumb, I can tell you from an auditor perspective, when I go and do inventory observations at large companies, one of the tricks that we always do is run our fingers across the inventory. If there's dust on it, considerable amount of dust, our first question to that company, the inventory manager, is, when was the last time this sold? Because there's a whole bunch of dust here. You haven't moved this inventory. And so when we talk about moving inventory, it's not just selling it, it's physically moving your inventory from out of your warehouse to somebody else. Mid-Ohio, congratulations, you got that giveaway. So if you were to go into your storage area, whatever way you store your stuff, would there be anything that may have some dust on it? How long has it been sitting there? So think about, when you buy something, if you when was the last time you cleaned the house? Yeah, that may be my case too. Exactly. Good morning, White Oak. If you buy something, what is your process? Do you, if you show it once, one and done? Are you one of those, people? Or is inventory stale if you show it 5 times and it doesn't sell? Is it stale if you list it and it doesn't sell within 30 days or 60 days or 90 days? Use it as giveaways or bundle it. Exactly. Perfect ideas. We're going to start to get into ideas on how do we move this stuff? How do we get it out, right? But I think what you have to do, the very beginning, is establish, what constitutes stale for you in your business. And it may be different depending on what items you're talking about. Items that, for me, that I'm asking that I have listed on other sites, like on static sites, that maybe cost a little bit more, I'm going to let that be stale. By stale date, I have a higher tolerance. I may hold it for 6 months. But if I buy a teapot, I want that teapot in and out. Within, I have a rotating of about every 4 to 6 weeks of shows. So if I buy a whole bunch of blue and white stuff, I want to sell it all in my next show. I may hold it for one more show, and then after that, I'm like, nobody's interested in this. Let's get rid of it. So how can we get rid of it? We've got people put some ideas in the chat. Donate it, give it away, like a giveaway in your show. Bundle it with something else. That is one of the best ways to get rid of stale inventory. And you're sitting there thinking, well, if nobody wanted it, why would I bundle it? Because they may want that other item that you're bundling it with. It's like my husband's over here saying it's a Happy Meal approach, right? Maybe you don't want everything in that Happy Meal. Your kid may not be thrilled with them apple slices they get, but they're going to love the toy that comes with it or the burger.
Would you like some fries with that?
Mary says, I bundle some at the end of auctions and it usually sells. I'd rather have space for the better sellers. Exactly. And this is what it's about. It's sitting on your shelf is taking the space that something else that's producing money could be in. I don't know about you guys. I only have so much space. And then it starts spilling over on the floor, and then I start tripping on it and I start breaking it. So I have to make sure I'm moving it to bring new stuff in. Bundling, put it with something else that somebody wants. Let's see, what are some of the, so sprinkle it into other shows. If it doesn't sell in one show, show it again. Here's an interesting concept. Let's think about this. How many of you put it in a vignette? Yes, exactly. That's kind of like the bundle theory, right? How many of you have heard somebody say, well, the more times I touch it, the more expensive it's going to get, right? This is kind of I've heard this multiple times on Whatnot. And pricing and stale inventory kind of go together. We'll get there. We'll make some connections. Yuck. Yeah. So I've heard this, the more times I touch it. When they're talking about that, I'm hoping that they mean I buy it, I wash it, I photograph it, like all of this kind of adds up. I don't believe time has value in your inventory items, except handmade. Handmade's a whole other category. Sometimes handmade doesn't always fit into what I'm talking about. But those same people who will say, every time I touch it, it costs more money, will show the same item 20 times. Do you raise the price every time you show it? So think about that. Think about like these concepts that underlie your inventory. What else can we do? Try changing your pricing. Lower the price or increase the price. I know it sounds counterproductive to trying to get rid of inventory, but sometimes it's just this weird perception people have. If you have it sitting in your bin, that's the other thing. If you're just trying to show it randomly and it doesn't sell, maybe put it in the bin or list it on one of the other static sites and see if you can sell it there. Maybe Whatnot's just not the crowd for it. But if you have, I just totally lost my train of thought. Have it sitting in the bin. Maybe the price that they had, maybe the price you have, maybe you have it for $5 and people are like, oh, it's really pretty, but it's only $5. Is there something wrong with it? Maybe there's no connection between the perceived value you want and the price you're asking. That works. Perceived value. Yeah, there you go. I've raised prices and sold inventory that had sat for months. Exactly. I don't totally understand the concept. I mean, I understand the theory. It still surprises me every time it happens. But it's that perceived value. It's, look at that thing's really pretty. And I know these other sellers are selling this cup for $15. Why is she selling it for $3? What's wrong with it? Raise it up to $15. See if it sells. Sometimes it's the opposite of that. Sometimes it's way overpriced and you need to take a minute and say, okay, maybe I made a bad purchase. I paid too much. Let's just drop the price and get rid of it. And so we can make some room. Yeah, we have a few people here saying they've raised prices and it's worked. It just works. Try it. Donate it was the other one. Sometimes we just have to suck it up and say we made a bad purchase. Not worth it. Donate it. I do want to emphasize a fact on donating though. And I found myself doing this. Maybe we get a bunch of inventory from auction or however we buy it, and we realize something has a chip or a hole or a rip, or there's some imperfection in our item, and we don't want to sell it. So we're like, oh, we're going to put it in the Goodwill pile. Okay, maybe somebody else would want it, but I think as resellers, if it's not something we'd be willing to resell, we need to have some caution on what we're donating to. Here, let's think this all the way through. The more crap that we donate, like stuff that's not really in good shape, that we donate to the Goodwills or these other thrift stores, they have to pay people to process that, right? They are paying their employees to intake it, to put price tags on it, to put it on the shelves. And then if it doesn't sell because it's chipped, ripped, broken, yes, labor is money. And I Love Discounts talks about this all the time in their show, about the pains and joys of having employees. So that ultimately is going to mean then that the Goodwill or whatever thrift store you shop at is going to have to raise prices to pay for those people because of all the junk and crap that we're donating. So this is my own kind of personal opinion is maybe think about the items that you do donate. I don't feel right donating damaged things. We'll put a plant in it or toss it. There you go. Could you use it in your house? Just donate it to yourself, family member, or throw it away. Just throw it. If it's no good, it's no good. I mean, there are some items that if you can't sell it and nobody wants it, you've tried Whatnot, you've tried your other platforms, maybe it just sucks. Maybe the item just isn't good, right? We talked about bundling. That was one of my notes, so I'm not going to go into that again because everybody else made that great point already. If they raise prices anymore, oh, no, and no kidding, Choco Dog. We're going to squirrel here for a minute. Y'all, I walked into Goodwill the other day, about 2 weeks ago. There was 2 large brass elephants. And when I say large, I'm talking a good 12-inch, like high and wide brass elephants. Of course, they caught my eye immediately. I like zoomed over to them. There's 2 of them. Absolutely stunning. Do you know how much Goodwill wanted for these? $299. Oh, one was $399, and there's another one that was slightly smaller for $299 at Goodwill. Like, I would have been willing to pay upwards of $100 as a reseller. I was like, instantly I'm thinking, oh, I'll pay about $100 for those, still knowing I can make some money out of $100. They wanted $400 and $300. Like, no way. So yes, there's some of the stuff. I walk through Goodwill sometimes, and I'm like, what drugs were these people on when they were pricing? Like, this is absolutely absurd. Which let's bring this back to business, because we could think about this. We can take the same concept and apply it to what we're doing. My prices were lower on 2 things I found at Goodwill last month. Yeah. Goodwill is pricing themselves out of the market. Why? They need to stop and think, who is the largest base of customers for Goodwill? Resellers. Yes, there's a large base of maybe lower income people, or the new generation of I love granny core and I'm looking for vintage clothing type people. So there's just people buying for their own personal use. But Goodwill has a large base of resellers that shop there. And by them raising prices in the way that they are slowly eating away at that base of people, which in turn is going to affect their business. We do the same thing on Whatnot for ourselves. We are, and I know this is very ironic because I just talked about raising prices. There is certain specific times that raising a price, with sale inventory can work. But we need to think about that concept too. If our prices are so high, we may just be completely eliminating that group of people. I've talked about this before, doing a bunch of research on what prices. Yeah, I have different products. I have themed boxes, new and very good condition clothing, and all types of jewelry, just stuck on shipping. Yeah, so try reduced shipping. If you can't go all the way to free, which is okay, you don't have to. Try reduced shipping. Are you new? Well, hello, good stuffs. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. Hang out, stay here. If you have any questions, put it in there. Make sure you use a question mark so I can see it and everybody else knows that it is a question. And if I can't answer it, somebody in the chat usually can. So try reduced shipping though. Reduced shipping will really help. That's another thing for inventory. If stuff's not moving and you're trying to sell it for $9.21, if you're pricing something at $1 or $2 and it's worth, a perception of maybe 7 or 8, but then they got to pay $9 for shipping, nobody's going to buy it at that, right? This is where a lot of that bundling comes together. I find so much success in taking 2 or 3 items and selling them together. Even items that aren't stale. I find it better to sell items together than in individuals. All right. Another thing, let's talk about when we're moving items. So we talked about raising the price, lowering the price, listing on other sites. If you are a lister, if you put things in your bin, go take a look at your description and your pictures. You'd be surprised sometimes. People don't read. People are going to go by pictures. So if you are doing a random show, you've shown something a few times, it doesn't sell, you're like, what's going on? Let me take a picture. Let me put this in my bin and see if I can just sell it there. Maybe somebody, when they're trying to fill their box, will want to buy it. Okay. And it still doesn't sell. Go and look at what you put for your description and what you put, how good are your pictures. And maybe that's the problem. I just found the other day something that I've had listed for quite a while. My description was completely wrong. I wouldn't have bought the item. And the reason I realized is because somebody did buy it, which surprised me. I wouldn't have bought it because I would have seen the picture and then read the description and been like, there's a disconnect here. What am I really getting? What am I really buying? So make sure that those are all, connected. Of course, I fixed it after I realized, but ChatGPT for photos. Yes.
Good morning, Brittany.
Hi, Brittany. So look at your pictures, put it in your bin. Let's talk about this concept here. So for all of my Green 13 fans, you've already heard this. So this may be a duplicate information for you. If you guys are not familiar with Green 13, highly recommend. His name is Jeremy. Green 13 is the name of his show, or his whatnot name. Check it out every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. He is on with a chat show. He has selling shows almost every day of the week. But he talks about a concept called arbitrary coherence. When you grasp the concept of arbitrary coherence, this could be a way that you can apply to your stale inventory. So a very basic concept. He explains it far better than I will, but I'm going to give it a shot. Arbitrary coherence means a value set by a number. So there'll be an arbitrary a value set by some type of number. And it's usually 2 unrelated things, but you can do it with related items. So you have a value that's of a higher value, and then you bring something else in. The second item automatically increases in value because of the first item. So let me give you an example. Yes, we will pin him. My husband's doing that right now for you. Because he is definitely one I would recommend following for his chat shows and his business advice. He talks a lot about the psychology behind selling and buying. But let me give you a comparison here for arbitrary coherence out in a retail store. You walk in, you're looking for some furniture. You just moved someplace, you need a new couch. You walk into a nice furniture store and you just, out of the corner of your eye, you see this couch, you're like, oh my God, I love it. It's the right color, the right size. You sit in it and you fall in love with this couch. And then you look at the price tag on it and say it's $5,000. You're like, oh my God, I'm about to have a heart attack. I cannot pay $5,000 for a couch. And then out of the other corner of your eye, you see another couch that's very similar, maybe the same shape, maybe the same color. And you go over there and you sit in it. You're like, wow, this is cool. And that one's $2,000. Even if it's overpriced at $2,000, instantly you're in your mind, you're like, that's totally worth it. Wow, I can get this. This one is the one I can get. This is kind of like arbitrary coherence in practice. How can you make that work for you in your stale inventory? Sell something that you know is a hit. Follow it up immediately with a piece of your stale inventory. Sell a butter pat, a hen on a nest, something that you know that you've already identified as a good hot seller. And you're creating this value, this price, this, you've got this arbitrary price up here, and then bring it in with something similar. So maybe I have a hen on a nest, and then I have a off-brand hen on the nest, like a newer, modern one. So I'm going to create the value with the vintage Westmoreland split tail gorgeous hen on a nest, and then bring it in with this newer, modern hen on a nest that I know wasn't selling for me, because now I've created a value for it. Now I've created this. Oh, this sold for $50. Another way this could happen, you can do this in practice. Sell 2 butter pats. Okay. You have 2 butter pats. People are bidding it up. There's 2 of them. There's this bidding war going on. They sell for $25. Follow it up with 1 butter pat. Okay. Oh, wow, cool. We're going to bid. Let's hurry up and get this. It increases the value of that one because they've got the number from the two stuck in their head. So it's a way that if you have stale inventory that is even remotely similar to anything you're selling, it's in the same category. Vases, bowls, china. Bring that stale inventory and determine the order in which you're going to sell your inventory could highly affect the chances of it selling and the prices that it sells for. That's kind of arbitrary coherence. Again, Jeremy he goes into it far better than I do. But that's how I actually used it. And I never thought about that concept until I heard it from him. Thank you. I love discounts. And then I started reading about it and I'm like, oh, how can I make this work for me? How can I put this into practice for me? And it's been working. I've been testing that out and it does work. So that's some of the ways you can get rid of stale inventory. How about this? Try it for a few shows. You have some inventory. It doesn't sell, put it away. Have a stale inventory box. You see this happen other shows, never realize. Yes, some people, it's not intentional. They just do it and it happens. But sometimes some of us do try to do some of these things intentionally. And if someone wants it and they're bidding more, they don't want to miss the second one. Exactly. So they bid higher. And then you start bringing in that scarcity and that FOMO starts coming into that with that theory there. Have maybe a pre-stale kind of like big Rubbermaid box or a shelf or however you organize your stuff. And if it doesn't sell, if you have an item, you've shown it 3 or 4 times, it's not selling, maybe you've had it in your bin for 2 months, nobody's buying it, try putting it away for a couple of months. Put it in a box, maybe next season, bring it out in a couple of months and try to resell it. It could just be that the timing's off. It could be you need a whole new audience. We know Whatnot. People come and go, not just in a show. People are filtering in all the time. We're getting an influx of new buyers daily on Whatnot. Whatnot continues to grow. So maybe just hold on to it. Take it off the shelves for a while. Another month or 2 goes by, bring it back. That has worked for me over and over again. You did that great, Sunshine. I'm so happy that worked for you. I'm looking at a box. I can see a box sitting over there. Unfortunately, it's in my little living room in my basement there. That I have stuff that just hasn't sold, and it's going to come back out eventually. We'll bring it back, and usually it does work. So when you think stale inventory, kind of think through there's so many different ways you can approach it before you get rid of it. We don't instantly just want to throw our money away, right? It costs money. We don't want to throw it away. So there's a lot of different tactics that you can do to try to get it moving. All right, that's everything I on stale. If you guys have other thoughts on moving stale inventory, please let me know. If not, we'll move on to my next note. Not knowing what you actually have. So this is another inventory concern. If you guys are just joining, hi, I'm Tracy. We are talking all things inventory today. So if you have questions, put them in there. I've identified some inventory concerns, and so I'm just kind of talking about those. Or if it has bookmarks and you mark it 5 to 10% off and you pin it, they'll sometimes come in and see it. Yep, and they'll buy it at a discount. And along that same lines, which I love, yeah, okay. I love discounts. I'm going to talk about that in 1 second. Curated and caffeinated. Along the same lines, put it on a flash sale. You can use flash sales for these. You could, again, that kind of goes back to raising or lowering the prices. There you go. I Love Discounts says that they stopped selling Mighty Patches. If you're not familiar with I Love Discounts, they had, I don't know, like a pallet. So like 8,000 or so of Mighty Patches. They couldn't give them away. It got to the point where it was like 10 pallets. Oh my gosh, I thought it was one. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands. Got to the point where they were having a hard time giving these things away. So what did they do? They just stopped, brought it back, and they're popular again. It works. It definitely works. Think about this. You've got to think about how you shop. So 2 ways to look at it. How do you shop at a retail store when you go into your favorite little boutique? Or even Goodwill. Let's just take Goodwill. You go to Goodwill on a Monday. You're walking around. You're like, cool, you found some stuff. And then Wednesday, you're getting that itch, right? We got to go sourcing. And you go back to the same Goodwill and you see the same stuff because they haven't really stocked their shelves yet. You're like, So when that itch comes on Friday to go sourcing, you're automatically thinking, I already saw what's there. So thank you, my love. I see that. Same thing with your store. If you have the same stuff in your store, your bin, or you're showing the same stuff every single time, people are going to quit coming because they already know what's there. So what's in your bin, cycle it. Have some type of method. I've kind of pared down so much in my bin, but for a long time, I had even and odd. I numbered everything. And one month I only showed my even numbers in my bin, and the next month I showed my odd numbers. It was just an easy way for me to know what I was showing when. And nobody really notices this, like in the background. They're not looking at your numbering scheme. They keep, a lot of people don't know this. So cycle what you have in your bin. Same thing with your shows. Maybe you're just starting out and, before I go on, let me look at this question. I have a mind block, but can someone explain when someone buys a few items and shipping cost? When someone buys a few items and shipping cost. Okay, so real quick, shipping. Let me talk about shipping. I'm going to talk about, go back to rotating inventory. Shipping is really easy here on Whatnot. I know everybody thinks it's really hard. We tend to overcomplicate things. Up to 1 pound. So under 1 pound is ground. You ship at Ground Advantage, and it's varying price depending on where they live, but it is $4 or $5 somewhere in that price range. Once it hits 1 pound, it becomes $9.21. That could be priority or priority flat rate. From 1 pound to 5 pounds is $9.21. After 5 pounds, if it is priority flat rate, it stays at $9.21 to 70 pounds. If it is not flat rate, if it is ground or any other priority, the price goes up in increments based on weight and box size. How about multiple purchases so they don't pay shipping for all? Once you get to that 1 pound, and if their items equaled 1 pound and 5 ounces, they will not be charged any more shipping until they hit that 5 pound mark. If it is just priority, if it is flat rate, they will not be charged any more shipping over the $9.21 until they hit over 70 pounds. So it goes back to how your original settings are. I would suggest, good stuff, go look up Living Bliss Vintage. If someone could tag her, or honey, if you can put her in there and just put shipping advice. Living Bliss Vintage has amazing shipping. She does a chat show where all she does is talk about shipping. Hodgepodge Place, or The Hodgepodge Place, has YouTube videos, and so does the House of Coop. Curated and Caffeinated, you got those postcards. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So go check out those three. And they actually have like super long YouTube. They walk you through step by step by step on shipping. Okay. Same thing comes with, let's talk about rotating inventory for your live shows. If you are just starting out and you're like, I can't afford to have, hundreds and hundreds of items. But say you show about an average of 60 items per show. Can you afford to have 3 sets of 60? So you have 3 shows worth. And if you're doing 1 show a week, that's 3 weeks worth. So you can show your first items, whatever sells, you can replace with new stuff. Show the second set of items. Again, whatever sells, you can replace with new stuff. And then you can show your third set of items. Come week 4, go back to that first set. This way you're not just repeating the same stuff every single show, but you're kind of cycling through and you're mixing it up. As something sells, you're putting something new in. So this is a good way to start. If you're just brand new and you're like, I just can't go and buy all brand new stuff for every single show. Try to get enough for at least 3 shows, because I can almost guarantee you by the time it gets to that 4th week and you go back to that first pile of stuff, a lot of people won't remember, and you're going to have enough new people in your show where it's not going to seem like you're just showing the same things over and over again. There's nothing wrong with taking a handful of things from one show and continue to show it a couple of times, but people will get tired of looking at it. When they get tired of looking at it, they stop or reduce the frequency in which they come and visit with your shows. So we always need to be rotating our inventory in some fashion. Yep, that's when the items go stale. The more they look at it, the less perceived value. Absolutely, I love discounts. Because it's like, hold on real quick. Second blessings, great advice. I easily get overwhelmed in my clothing shows with so much inventory and feeling like you don't need to show everything. You guys, you don't need to show everything. And I go back to 2. If you have 3, 4, 5 of the same thing, only bring out 2 maybe. See how it goes. See if you're getting the prices you want. If they're on fire and you're getting the prices you want, then go bring out the other 2 or 3 items. And like the same type of item, right? But you don't have to show everything. And what I Love Discount says is the more they look at it, the perceived value decreases. Think about it logically from you. You see something, the same thing, time and time again. You're like, well, why isn't nobody buying that? What's wrong with it? These thoughts, even if you're not consciously thinking it, it's in the back of your head. It's like, that's been there for a long time. Must not be popular. Must not be what's in style. These are like thoughts that are in your subconscious, and therefore the likelihood of it selling decreases considerably. My Raid Train items left always hit my next week's show. Absolutely, because it is usually new buyers. Crystal says that's a good idea, and after the 3rd week, you can mix the items up between the shows. You can, yeah, and so it's a different like combination of items. Exactly, particularly if you're just starting out, this is a great way to get some footing underneath you when you start making sales and you start replacing items. Let's see, what else did I miss here? I've been working on listing and I have so much stuff. I will try to do small inventory sets. Absolutely. That is so great. And we don't have to list everything. You can. There is nothing wrong with listing. Especially if you're new, pre-listing your items helps you keep like organized on the back end, helps you reduce your shipping mistakes on the back end. It also keeps people something to look through to do your pre-bids, but you can also do random. Good morning. And that's another thing for your stale items. If you're a pre-lister but you have some stale items, do them as a random poll during your show. Like, this is something wonderful, right? Maybe you've shown something 3 or 4 times. It goes into your stale box. And then 2 or 3 shows later, you do your pre-listed. You're like, you guys, I've got some random stuff over here too. And you start pulling things out of a box like this is the next best thing on earth. That you're creating that excitement, right? And that's the other thing. We tend to, whatever we're feeling and we're thinking could easily come through. Micro expressions are the way we hold our body, just like all that nonverbal language, and a lack of excitement in our voices. Because if we've sold something 4 or 5 times and we're holding it up, we're holding this up for the 7th show in a row, and we already know we have that disappointment within us that it didn't show or didn't sell for so long. So it's easy to say, yeah, I got this cup. I've shown it quite a while. I don't know what's going on. No, you've got to be just as excited. Like, this is the next best thing that anybody's ever going to find, even if it didn't sell for the last 7 shows. Y'all, check out this cup. I've shown this before. I can't believe somebody didn't already swipe this up. It is amazing. Sometimes just your energy and the way you're selling it will affect whether it becomes stale or not. Yeah. All right. Next topic. Let's see. Not knowing what you actually have. This is a concern. This happened to me. I told the story, I think, last week or maybe the week before on the show. I had 2 Avon Christmas plates. I had put them in a stale box thinking they weren't going to sell. And they sold on another platform. I hadn't delisted them from another platform. They sold on another platform. I forgot that I put them in that box. I had to cancel the order on the other platform. And then I went looking in my box to pull some stuff out for my next Whatnot show. And I'm like, dang it, they were in that box. So not knowing what you actually have in your inventory could be a big problem. I struggle with starting each item quickly. I have to do 3 clicks. I see sellers do 1 click and the auction is going. Can you touch on this? Second Blessings, I am assuming the ones that you're seeing doing 1 click are doing run next. Be careful. Run next with a bunch of pre-listed items can be the devil. Run next could get you in trouble if you have a lot of pre-listed items. If you are doing random polls and you're using one weight, $1 amount, you can edit it. But if you want to go to the 1 click, you need to have one weight, $1 amount for your random polls. So you have 1 listing. That is it, just 1 listing. When you have that 1 listing, you can just click run next because it's going to start it at the same weight, the same dollar amount. You have a generic description. Then when it's selling on the back end, you're having to number or label in some fashion to keep track of who bought what. But that's the one click you're seeing is using the run next. Good morning, a reworker's passion. Okay, I think I'm caught up on questions. So not knowing what you actually have could mean duplicate sales. This has happened to me. Almost everything I'm going to tell you is mistakes I've made. I have sold things on more than one platform at the same time. I have sold something on Whatnot and forgot to take it off. Sold something as a random pull, so it didn't go through my Vendoo system and remove it from other sites. So I've duplicate sold things. Then I have to be the bad guy and go and cancel a sale, and I get dinged. Or I have to quickly try to reorder it from somebody else and pay more money, and then it just cost me a bunch. You can miss sales because you don't know where things are. If you have to cancel something because you can't find it, and it creates a lot of mistakes, makes you look bad. So not knowing what you have, how do we overcome this? What do we need to do? Oh, my husband wants to talk. Quiet.
Good morning, everybody. Excuse me. So, how'd you like my background? And if you like my background, come check us out tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern time for the Ray Train on 12 on 12.
Thank you, guys. Yes, come see us tonight. We got some cool graphic stuff coming tonight. So how about to overcome not knowing what you have, store it in an organized fashion? How many people actually have a system for their inventory? That you have an organized type of a system on how you store your inventory? So we've got one, I do. Or are you just kind of like, let's buy it and throw it in some boxes and John, you're funny. I tried to organize. It is a struggle to keep it. I'm automated Excel sheet. Nice. Trying to get there, but there's so much. So this is probably one of the biggest problems is trying to have some type of system on the back end behind the scenes before you're even selling stuff. So you know, what do you need to buy? I sell jewelry and I list my jewelry at the same weight range. I also create a show flow and create auction listings in the order of my show. I love it, Kelly. That is so good because here, then you can start using those concepts of arbitrary coherence to make sure that your stuff is getting the top dollar for it. Store by color and theme. Now, curate and caffeinated, I do the same thing. I store by theme, and I'll talk about my method. It covers every inch of your house, Mary. I love that. We do tend as resellers to start spreading out, right? Okay, so organized, great with listing, but not so great with inventory and waiting. So let's just think about, why do we even need to know what we have? One, to prevent all these different mistakes that can easily happen by not knowing. But what if, God forbid, I don't want to speak anything into existence, God forbid there should be a fire in your house and you need to file an insurance claim. I can guarantee you as a reseller, you have a pretty penny invested in your inventory. That's our biggest asset, usually besides cash. So you want to know what you have, not just for, purposes of selling, but for purposes of if there's a natural disaster. The same reason why we have some, emergency money in the bank if something should happen. So that's a really good reason to make sure. So there's a million. Yes, and people will ask, do you have this or do you have that? And I do it all the time. In my head, I'm like, do I have this? Do I have this? And I'll say, no, I don't have that. And it may be in the shelf behind me because I'm just absent-minded. Or I may, after the show, walk into my storage and realize I have 4 of those sitting there. Random question. Can someone please explain to me how to add a moderator to your show? Simply Damaris. So when you are conducting a show, all you have to do is to click on their name in the chat the minute they say hello to you. And then you can, there's a drop down and you can say allow to moderate. Or when you're setting up the show, there is a moderator's box. So when you're doing your show setup, you're putting your title, your date, there's a place for you to add moderators at that time. So you can do it before the show or while the show is going on. Do you have to add, Christelle says, do you have to add to your inventory for the extra stuff you have for your business? not to your inventory. Those are just assets. So I'm assuming you're talking about like your cameras, or if you have a TV or a desk or whatever it is, shelving. Those are just assets. I would have a list of those items because they're part of your business. And they have a value that goes on your financial statements. Oh, read that again. Hold on. Do you have to add to your insurance for the extra stuff you have for your business? You shouldn't. Most homeowners will cover it. It depends on the. You need to look at your policy. Like, are the limits of your homeowner's insurance? Mine covers it. If your homeowner's doesn't, then you probably want to invest in another policy, or an additional policy, or increase the limits of your current policy. Sorry. Thank you. Yes, keep me on track. Absolutely. 100% keep me on track. So the way I do it, and you guys put in
right there with you, Miss Mary,
put in how do you guys organize your inventory. The way I do it, I try to keep it simple. I am of the KISS method of everything. I can't take complexity. I will not maintain complexity. It has to be easy for me to continue to do something over and over again. I have shelves that are based on the themes of my shows. And then I have a few empty shelves that I keep for when I sign up for a raid train. And then I have a couple of shelves in my storage area that are like vintage variety. It's a mix, doesn't fit into blue and white or primitive or French country, whatever it may be. So when something comes in, it gets a tag, so I know the value I paid for it. And I just use little color-coded dots. I don't take time to write it out, the little color-coded dots. And then if it's a blue and white, it goes on my blue and white shelf. This way I know very quickly, I can look at my shows and say, oh, I have a blue and white show coming up in 2 weeks. And I can take a look at my shelf. Do I have enough items on that shelf? Nope. I better be sourcing some more of this type of item, right? To me, I found that is the easiest way to do it. And then when I have a raid train, if I know I signed up, I have a mid-century raid train coming up, I think next week. I'll go through all my like vintage variety and move over items like onto another shelf. I just take a little sticky, put a sticky on there that says mid-century. So I know that I'm kind of reserving for that raid train. And I can easily see, do I have enough stuff to meet this raid train or not?
Looks and Laurel, she's probably going to kick me out sometime soon for more shelves.
This is the other thing. So space can hinder how you're organizing, right? Do you have a monitor to display chat? I'm trying to figure out how to set up. I do. I am old and I can't see stuff on my phone or my iPad very well. I have a large screen TV right in front of me. So I have a camera. My camera's like right here, right behind it. I have a big TV that I am facing and watching myself. I try not to look at myself. I just try to look at the chat. A raid train. Pardon? Oh, my husband will show you what it looks like. Let's see. I don't know how he's going to do this. There he goes. So this is my view. This is what I see. You're seeing I have another stand, but this is what I'm facing. Right there is a camera and a large screen TV. All right, real quick, raid trains. For whoever asked, good stuff. A raid train is when one person organizes a group of sellers to sell consecutively. You sign up for slots. It's usually some type of a theme, and it'll be like seller A raids into seller B and then into seller C at specific times, anywhere from 5-10-minute slots to hour slots, and it's usually centered around a specific theme or holiday, something like that.
Tegan, we have a small home studio. I manage 5 cameras, close to 6 cameras, and video switcher. You can do the same thing with OBS and computer. So there's different things that you can see. For example, I can switch to camera 2, camera 3, and then back to her.
If you don't have to go. My husband's a little obsessed. I enjoy it, but you don't have to go his route.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a little while, so I had a lot of equipment.
I Love Discounts puts in there a more straightforward way. Her husband, Tony, the other half of I Love Discounts, uses a TV hooked up to the laptop, so you can run your show on the laptop via an HDMI cable. So you start your show on your phone from whatever start it on whatever device you're actually using the camera on. And then once you start it on your phone, you can start it on your computer. And if you plug it into your camera or your TV, there you go.
Good morning, Moody. No, we don't have a video on how to set up the OBS. Usually, if people are interested, they can DM me directly, and I can set up a one-to-one tutorial over Google Meets.
At Home with Chris, I am right there with you. I struggle to work the remote control. Technology is all in my husband's lap. My garage door got offline, and I still have not been able to figure out how to open my own garage door. I'm waiting for my husband to fix it. Random polls. Do you weigh every item and then create multiple listings based on weight, or do you use one weight for everything? So, Caroline, this depends on what is easiest for you. I like one weight for everything. But now let's kind of look at the pros and cons of that. I do free shipping on most of my shows. So I do everything at 1 ounce. And then I change the weight to the correct weight before I print the label. So I make sure I'm paying the right amount to whatnot in the post office. So I do everything at 1 ounce. There's a lot of sellers that will do stuff at 8 to 11 ounces, especially if they're doing reduced shipping, knowing though that you have to adjust that on the other side. That's easier. To me, the less clicks I need to do to get something running, the better. And it's easier too, because if you're just doing random, it's the consecutive numbering. You don't have to worry about if it's random for this item or this one down here or the next item. So you just know it's 1 through whatever number you quit selling at. However, some people like to be more specific with weights because that's what works for them. And if you do that, just make sure you can do 0 to 15 ounces, 1 to 5 pounds, whatever breakdown works based on the items you're selling. But you're going to have multiple numbering. So if it's labeled like A, 0 to 15 ounces, B, 1 to 5 pounds, when you sell stuff, the numbering is going to be A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3. Make sure on the back end you have a way to keep track of that, because it can get very confusing very fast.
Curated Caffeinated, sure. Send me a DM and I'll get with you and we can work it out.
All right. Let's see. So we were talking about space and how space may hinder your ability to store items. You've got to get creative. You need a way to be organized to some degree. If you don't have max 921 shipping for a show, say they order 6 pounds of items, what happens after that 5 pounds? It will incrementally, based on your settings, if you don't have it set for priority flat in your settings, I don't, because I sell vintage, that doesn't work for me as a vintage seller. It may work for clothing sellers. So if you don't have it, if it goes back to ground, if that's your settings, they will incrementally be charged based on their area code, on how far that is going, the additional weight. So that 921 kind of restarts. So once you hit 921, it's going to maybe another $2, maybe another $4, depending on the weight of the item and where it's going. And it'll just incrementally charge. And post it on so you know. There you go. So be creative. When you have a small space, those big Rubbermaid bins, I don't know if they're Rubbermaid. I get them at Sam's Club for $8. Those stack really well. Those work good in a small space. Sometimes if you have a very small space, maybe you're living in like a 2-bedroom apartment that you don't have a lot of extra room, you don't have a basement, you don't have a storage shed. Maybe it's lining a living room wall with bookcases and displaying all your items nice and pretty so it looks good when you're sitting there, but that's also your inventory. That may be how you have to do it. So you need to get creative with it. When I first started, I had one bookshelf, and that has slowly grown. I've had to move. And think about how you live and what can you logically do that doesn't affect your normal life too much, right? You don't want to live where you just have a little path to walk through because you have so much inventory. That's not fun for anybody. But I used to, where I keep my inventory now, used to be personal storage. I had all my holiday, my Christmas stuff, my Valentine's. I had all my holiday stuff. I had like beach chairs and, those things that you store, you don't use all the time. When I I realized, hey, I need more space for my business. I went and rented a storage shed, one of those storage places, and I paid for that and moved all my holiday stuff out so I can have easy access to my business stuff. My basement is, root cellar. A 1-bedroom apartment, and I have one shelf. I just ordered my second one to help me stay organized. There you go. You've got to get creative about it. We are at the point now where I'm actually looking, we want to move out of our basement. But it's incremental steps, it's little baby steps. Do what you can with what you have, but figure out a way to make it stay organized. Maybe it's in your coat closet. Maybe that's the only space you have. Like, okay, I can take all my coats out, I can fit them in my bedroom closet, and I can put some shelves in my coat closet and use that for my inventory storage, and that I can shut the door, nobody has to see it. I love gift discounts. You got the postcards. Congratulations. Mary Storage. Don't look under your bed. Priority boxes there. Hallway lined with moving boxes under the tables. Exactly. You do what you have to do, right? But get creative with it. I think for me, the best idea is, at least with how I work, is trying to make it look as pretty as I can, lining a room and displaying my stuff. But that depends what you sell. That would work good for vintage because it's pretty to look at. You might not want to look at piles of folded up clothing, right? All right. If anybody else has ideas on how to store stuff, particularly when you don't have a lot of space, please put it in the chat so we can help each other out. All right. Number 4. I'm on number 4. What is another inventory concern? How about the death pile? Who has a death pile? Those of you that actually list, whether it's listing on Whatnot or other sites, banker boxes are very good for closets. They stack very well and they're easy to get in and out of. Other platforms for now, I don't, but I have 40-foot shipping container. There you go. Perfect. Okay, we all have death piles. Yes. That could be a huge problem, like having a death pile. We gotta attack it. But what I think what the key is a death pile, because we hear this term and we're like, well, just set aside some time and go and take pictures. I think it's more than that. I have a theory that the death pile results from an underlying reason, and you have to figure out what that underlying reason is. So what's the core issue? What's the core issue of your death pile? Why do you have it to begin with? Were you buying too much? It could be legit. It could just be, you know what? There was a unbelievable deal that came my way. I couldn't pass it up, and I just haven't had time to get to it because so much stuff was there. ADHD could be a reason. Tony buys too much. And I love discounts. That's it. Overbuying could be the core issue of your death pile. So how do we fix our death pile? Quit overbuying. Sometimes, it sounds easier than it is putting in action.
Get a bigger house.
Of course, that's always the answer. Buy a better house or bigger house. I store inside storage. Put things in tins. Yes, ottomans, inside Crocs. Absolutely. You've got to use whatever space you have. When your husband, who's in the closet hoarder, says you're a little out of control, it's a wake-up call. There you go. There is an underlying issue on why you have a death pile. It could be lack of time management. Maybe it's not overbuying at all. Maybe you're buying appropriately, but you're not managing your time appropriately to adequately photograph it or pull it into a show. Sometimes you buy in bulk and sometimes you have to take the good and the bad. Absolutely. And so then if you're buying in bulk, so then it's, okay, how do we manage this after the fact? We know this is going to happen. This is how we purchase. This is how we normally operate. What do I do with it then? Do I need to set a day aside a week if I know I'm buying on Tuesdays and I buy in bulk and I get the good and the bad and I got to dispose of the bad and I got time to go through it? Maybe the next day is I schedule a sorting day, right? So something that you got to look, and everybody's different. So there's no one size fit all answer here. What is the underlying issue on why you're not getting through that death pile? So what can we do about it? Identify the underlying issue, address it. But right off the bat, my stupid 9 to 5 keeps, I know them damn 9 to 5s, right? Mine too. Like, come on. I've stopped buying until I sell what's loaded, but I've got a steal on a big box. Yeah, so sometimes you'll just get a steal on something and you can't pass it up. But if you have a death pile and we need to get rid of it, set aside 15 minutes a day to at least take pictures. If you can get them pictured, then you can sit there in bed at night, or when you have a few moments, maybe you're waiting at the doctor's office, if you're one to list on your phone and list things randomly as you have these little bits and pieces of time. Have a random show. Just have a random show. And you know what? I'm going to get rid of a quarter of my death pile. I'm going to schedule a show and I'm just going to random show these items and get through them. Stuff I'm not exactly. Oh my gosh, be more thrifty. What a great point. So Be More Thrifty says, I find my death piles usually stuff I'm not really excited about, which should be a sign. It is. Okay, look it. As live resellers here, we all know there's the stuff that you get excited about. I'm in the basement. There's those things that you're like, oh, I can't wait to put this on Whatnot. Everybody's gonna love this. Or you have a specific buyer in mind when you buy something. You're like, oh, I can't wait till this person sees this. And then we have fillers. We have the stuff because we're not going to have a show of 100 banger items. We're gonna have a show of a few bangers and the filler, right? The filler doesn't excite us. Lots of CDs, yeah. The filler doesn't excite you as much. Make a point of every single show, I'm going to grab at least 10 of those filler items and put them in my show, every single show, till you start working through it. Just last week, I had an item in a bin that sold overnight. Love the things that can sell outside of odd shows. Absolutely, it's always great. Any sale's a good sell. So address the core issue and make a plan to attack it. Whether that's actually scheduling time on your calendar, just like you would schedule a doctor's appointment. And who got that next giveaway? I love discounts. Go buy a lottery ticket today.
Congratulations.
Thank you for being here. Either that or just start watching all shows from the beach, one or the other. What weight would you suggest to create just one random poll listing for clothing where buyers pay all shipping? Would that discourage buyers from purchasing? I do not sell clothing, so I don't know if I can give you a really good answer. If anybody else here sells clothing, can somebody help Caroline out with an answer? I would guess maybe 8 to 11 ounces. I know Julie Becker sells clothing and she does chat shows. So that may be somebody, 8 to 11. Okay, Tegan. So I wish I could help you more, but I don't, because I don't sell that, I don't want to give you bad advice. Okay, so we talked about unlisted. How about your disorder? How about the hurricane that looks like came through your selling area after a show? That's an inventory problem. It's a good idea to put 10 plus items in sales. Do shows at £1. Okay, thank you guys for helping out. All right, disorder after a show. Does anybody like do a show and you look around, you're like, oh my God, this looks like my teenager's bedroom, right? Stuff everywhere. That happens to me all the time. Yep, every show. So how do we fix that? So our whole conversation today is an inventory concern and what can we do about it? So set up zones. This is what's worked somewhat for me. I'm getting there. It's a learning process for me right now. You go take a break. That's right. Go get a drink. Go have a cup of coffee. Maybe go out and source more, right? My entire apartment's been taken over. Set up zones before you sell. So before you start selling, you have either shelves behind you or you have your inventory to be sold somewhere around you, right? In a box, on a shelf that you're pulling from to show people. Then have a sold zone where everything you sell goes in the same zone. The way it works for me, I have a rolling cart. Everything I sell goes on my cart. If I fill up the cart, then I have 2 shelves over to the side that have nothing on it. They are empty. And that's what I fill up with my sold items. So then I roll the cart over to where my shipping area is. And I can, roll it back, fill it up some more, and do my shipping. Sold in one pile, unsolds in another, reruns in another pile. There you go. Devin's very organized. Oh, good. There you go. It's good to have a very organized partner. If you want to have items listed in my shop, but not actually run a show for a while yet, how would that work? You don't have to run a show. You can have items in your shop. Just make sure that on your item, when you're in your inventory, that when you open that item, it's not marked for reserve for show. So then that way it's in the marketplace and it's available for anybody to purchase at any time. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Don't assign to a show. So setting up zones, creating a system. Think about if you're one of those people that, the hurricane people that after a show stuff is everywhere. One, it's going to cause shipping issues, right? You're going to ship the wrong thing or you're going to double sell something. I'll tell you how that happens because I've done it. Not intentionally, but it's happened. Set up a system. Take a minute to think. How do you move in your show? I'm going to stand up so I can demonstrate this. Everybody has an area that they sell in, right? Mine's here. I have a table here. I have shelves there. Normally, when our green screen isn't behind me, I have all my shelves behind me. Behind me is where the items are going to be sold. I don't want to have to walk to the other side of the room because that takes too much time between shows. So I try to keep, I sit and think, okay, if I'm standing here, I can put things this way or I can put things this way quickly, right? So think through, like, just take a minute. It's like visualizing yourself doing any task or going through races or even doing dishes. You do the dishes. If you have two bins in your sink, you have a system to doing that, and then you put it in the dishwasher, right? Or you wash it and you put it to dry. You have a system. Same thing for selling inventory. Create a system, selling your items. Create a system for yourself that is the same every single show, and it starts to help with that mess afterwards. My husband's like, you're too far left, you're too far right, move. Is this better, my love? All right. So create a system for yourself. That's probably like the biggest thing. And then schedule in time. If you're a hurricane person, schedule in time for 10 minutes after every show to clean it up. Put everything that's sold together, everything that hasn't sold, figure out if you're going to do it in the next show, what are you going to do with it, and put it where it needs to go. Extending Grace Shop, you got that giveaway. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. Does everybody have a post-show system? Who has a post-show? Like a series of steps you go through after every single show. Southern Charm does. So we got a lot of people. Take down, set up for the next one. Go home. I love discounts. Sold bin and things got it. You had the sold bin, but things got out of control. Things can get out of control very quickly. All of us have experienced it in a show where, man, your show is on fire. It is popping. People are requesting items. You're grabbing this. You're grabbing that. You're like selling all kinds of stuff. And it's very easy to get out of your system, out of the order of things. You're not allowed to buy stuff for inside the house. So this is where having a system, it becomes muscle memory. Trust me, if you have a system during your show and then after your show and you do it over and over and over and over again, it becomes like brushing your teeth. I can guarantee you have a way that you brush your teeth. Let me even get a little more personal. You have a way that you take a shower and wash yourself in the shower. And I'm not getting dirty here. I'm just talking, you have a way. Think about it. Either you get in and you do your hair first or you do your soap first. You have a system and you don't even think about it because you have taken so many showers in your life that it becomes automatic. It's the same thing with the show. The more you do something in the same systematic way, it becomes an unconscious way of doing it and it just happens. Yes, it becomes a habit. There you go. And the same with you're getting clean. Breathe, slow down. Here's something that's happened to me because of disorder. I have some stuff listed in the bin. I usually try to keep a few things in there. This happened when I had a lot more stuff in the bin. If you don't have a show scheduled, it doesn't allow for me to do anything in your shop. Don't go into your show. Cozy Old Farmhouse, go in through your inventory tab. Like your Seller Hub. Go to Seller Hub inventory. That's where your items should be listed. That's where you need to change them. It shouldn't have any show shouldn't affect that. Okay. I totally just lost my train of thought. Oh, this is what happened to me. So I had stuff in my bin. Show was busy. Somebody requested something. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sure I have whatever it was. And I go and grab it out of my storage, not making the connection in my head that I had it in my bin. And I do a random listing and I sell it as a random item. Well, meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, somebody had bought it from the bin during the show. So then after the show, I have one item sold to two people. I'm going to disappoint somebody and look like a jerk to one of those two people, right? So having disorder kind of creates chaos like that. You'll quite often, if you watch my shows, if I clear out everything on the shelf behind me, quite often I will be like, all right, y'all, thank you so much. That's everything I pulled for the show. And I don't try to do more. Let's see, okay, you guys are helping. Thank you for helping each other. Oh, I got to go up. If I don't have, no. I'm sorry, my love. Please give me my husband's trying to point me to a comment, but I'm missing it. Oh, is that something that's visible on PC but not on a phone? Because I have not seen anything about it. Inventory tab or Seller Hub. You can get to it on your phone, but I don't do anything on the phone. I do all my stuff on a computer.
The phone app has certain features that are not mapped the same way that they are on a PC. So if you use a computer, it's a little bit easier to get to some other stuff that are not necessarily readily available on the app.
All right. Okay, so if I go to Seller Hub, I don't know if you can see it. Seller Hub right down there in the middle is your Seller Hub. So if you click on Seller Hub, and then there's 3 dashes up there on the top, click on the 3 dashes. The very first choice is inventory. So I can click on inventory, and then I can edit each item that I have in my inventory from there. So that's how you do it on your phone. I've always assigned items in my bin to upcoming shows. How do I put them back in your bin? So just go into each item. You have to physically, once you've assigned it to a show, you need to physically go into the item and unclick. There's a little toggle button that says assign to show. Turn that off, and that creates it in the marketplace then.
Chickens, yes, is very different. In some cases, the computer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Even the computer, for example, does not allow you to do the co-hosting the same way.
It is totally rigged. I Love Discounts just won the 3rd giveaway in a row. I'm doing another giveaway to see if they win again.
What?
All right, so we're back to having a reset giveaway. Yes, go buy a live ticket today. Create a show. That is so weird, Cozy Old Farmhouse. Try it on a computer versus a phone just to see. It may be easier. So having a post-show reset, I like to keep my shelves clear. I usually set up for my show hopefully the day before when I'm good, when I'm on top of things. So do you keep your bin items in a separate area so you don't accidentally sell it? I do now, yes. So if it's listed in my bin, I have a long storage area. One of these days, I think I'm just going to do a show from my phone without the computers and actually just walk back and show how I keep everything. When we run our shows on our cameras, it creates too much of a lag when I go back there. So I can't do it today. But coming up, I'll do a walkthrough of my area. But I do. So I have a long area, and I have 2 long shelves that are just listed items. If they've been photographed and listed either on Whatnot or on any of the other sites, they're on 2 specific shelves. So I can't randomly grab it and show that item. I know if I'm pulling anything off those 2 shelves, I need to go check my bin and pull it in from the bin that I have, put it in there. And I didn't institute that until after I double sold an item. A lot of the things is we learn from our own mistakes, right? Okay, go ahead. We're going to help Cozy Old Farmhouse here. Let's see if we can show.
All right, let me see if I can get to that Cozy Old Farmhouse. Let me see. Here we go. So you see the Seller Hub on the very bottom, right there on the screen.
From your phone. This is what it looks like on your phone.
This is from the app. When you tap on that, I'm going to minimize that. Now you can go in here on the hamburger.
Up at the top, the three lines at the top.
The 3 little dots. And then you can go to where it says inventory.
So open it up and let's show the button that you need to click on. So go to inventory.
So you go to inventory, and that's all the inventory that
and so have. So scroll up to that first item. If we wanted to change that signed pottery bowl, so we can scroll down, and in here somewhere, it's going to tell me, keep going. Right there, reserve for live. Oh, scroll back up, reserve for live. So this is off. This means it's in my marketplace. If he were to click that reserve for live, maybe, there you go. Then I select a show. So that's assigning it to a show, but it's people could buy it within the show, but if you unclick it, it's in your marketplace. Oh, I don't know, Cozy Old Farmhouse. That's interesting. Try an update. Have you updated your app? That'd be the next thing. It can be in both places, your show and the marketplace. Thank you, Christelle. Okay, let's keep going. We talked about disorder after the shows. And for me, I broke something the other day because sometimes I'll put things on the floor, which is never a smart idea for me. And I went to pick it up to pack it and I broke it. Luckily, it was somebody that is very familiar with me. We've created a relationship. And when I messaged them, they were like, oh man, that sucks. I know how that is. And they were totally cool about it. But had it been a brand new buyer who was brand new to me, that would have looked a lot worse, right? So that's just some of the problems that disorder can create. Okay, how about how your shipping can be affected due to inventory system failures? That's a big thing. When you're in a show, who has done a random pull show and mislabeled items? I have. Let's just admit our mistakes here. The first step in changing is accepting and admitting our mistakes. I have mislabeled random polls, and boy, does that suck. I have only ever one time sent the wrong thing to the wrong person, got orders mixed up, sent the wrong things out. So random polls, you've got to have a system in place. I'm huge on visualization and thinking through every part of a process to prevent mistakes like that. So making sure that we're labeling correctly, not double selling an item like I just talked about, or if we think this is going to be a problem for us during a show, if we think random is going to be a problem, pre-list. There's an easy way to get over that. Just pre-list. Don't cancel, reschedule possibly. For a show. Tumbleweeds, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. Using only one listing for randoms. We've kind of touched on using different listings for randoms. Using only one for me is super helpful because it's just one numbering system versus multiple. And I keep going back to having a consistent system. I can't stress that enough. All right. This is a big one. I'm going to skip over here because I think this is an issue that we all face. What about having gaps in your inventory? And when I mean gaps, I mean you're going to go do a show. You have a show scheduled for, I don't know, a certain theme, and you're 2 days out and you're like, I don't have enough for that theme. Or you have shows scheduled twice a week. You're doing your shows and all of a sudden you're like, I just don't have enough inventory. Like I normally sell 100 items. I only have 40 things here. So you have gaps. You have holes in your inventory. How does that happen? How do you fix that? It's usually due to inconsistent sourcing. How many people have a sourcing schedule that you go by? Or like a sourcing system? I go every Monday or Tuesday or something. How many people have like a consistent way of sourcing week after week after week? Let me know. Good Stuff has a consistent sourcing. And then there's always random, like, oh, wow, I see this place. Kind of, I do. And how many, now that you have a consistent sourcing, how many have consistent, reliable sources to get stuff? Winter is tough, so extending grace, winter is tough when you have the money. I am finding I do a lot of auctions, but then Goodwill fills in for me. Some of the other thrift stores. I don't really do estate sales. That Goodwill has been not so reliable lately. So having more than one source is extremely important. Here we go. A couple of people said winter is thinner. I'm guessing the people who are saying winter is harder is because you're doing a lot of estate or yard sales, two things that maybe don't happen as often in the winter time, particularly depending on what area of the country you would live in. Good morning, Noah. So inconsistent sourcing. This is going to affect you as a seller. You cannot grow as a reseller without consistent, reliable sourcing methods. This is where relationships come into place. If you're doing jewelry, creating those relationships with jewelry stores. If you're creating relationships, maybe with overflow on some of these smaller, like mom and pop type thrift stores, stuff that they can't handle. Creating relationships with your local antique stores for when the booths are going out of business. You want to be the person they're recommending. maybe with the realtors when people are selling their houses and need to clean out things, or the people who are running those estate sales. In order to address gaps in your inventory, that's a networking, besides the sourcing, it's networking issue. You work sourcing around life with 3 kiddos. I can't travel far to source either. So think about this. The other part of having gaps in your inventory is not proper planning. So it's not proper networking or proper planning, are 2 big things that are going to affect your, to create gaps in inventory. Northeast Ohio is super thin in winter, but some of my flea folks call me to come over. I think networking is absolutely key. Particularly, like you said, Northeast Ohio, who wants to go stand in 15-degree weather and walk around the flea market, right? If it's not an indoor heated place. Need to find a new seller selling stuff for $1 to $3. So networking and planning. We all want, if you have 9 to 5s, there's a good chance that, you can't source at certain times of the day. Or like me, my 9 to 5 has me traveling. I was gone for 2 weeks in October, already a week now at the beginning of December. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks in January. I have between now and July, at least a week every single month, I will be out of town somewhere. What does that do to me? It means that my normal 3 or 4 days of sourcing, I can't pick stuff up at auctions, and I can't go to the normal places that I go to source. My inventory gets very, very low. Pre-planning, knowing that this is coming, means I need to double up on sourcing ahead of time so I don't find myself in a bind afterwards. And it's not just if your 9 to 5 sends you places. If you want to go on vacation, you want to go on vacation and relax and chill and enjoy that vacation. You don't want to go on vacation and think, oh my God, I'm not getting all my sourcing. What am I going to do when I get back? So pre-planning your inventory is always a problem I want. Pre-planning and networking are 2 of the underlying issues on why you may have holes in your inventory. Pre-planning. So another way to maybe kind of fix this, besides your networking and your pre-planning, is to plan shows based on categories that allow you time to source for them. This is one of the reasons. What if you can source when you're away? That's wonderful. So like I was just in Jackson, Mississippi. I tried to source while I was away, but it is really weird. Most of their antique stores and thrift stores close at around 5 or 6. And Parents and More, Presents and More. Excuse me, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. And I didn't get out of the office, and then we went networking. So it didn't allow me time. But yes, sometimes you can do trips just to source. But what about this? This is why I do theme shows on a rotating schedule. It allows me time to source. I get 4 to 5 weeks to replenish for a show. So if I'm doing primitive, I only do a primitive show about every 5 weeks. I have 5 weeks. If one of my suppliers is low 1 week, they're probably going to be better the next week. It gives me that time. This is one of the reasons my shows are scheduled in the way they are, is to make sure that I have the inventory for them.
2-piece in a pot. Tell me about it. We did a trip to visit my family and we weren't prepared. We had to buy more luggage.
We did last time we went to Mexico, but we kind of knew we were going to source, but we had to buy more suitcases to come home. So think about planning your shows based on the availability of your sourcing. So planning the theme of your show based on when you can get stuff. There may be certain items that are easier to get in the summertime. So you may be having shows of one sort in the summertime and a different type of show in the wintertime. Just ideas on ways to kind of work around sourcing issues. Planning ahead. And then when at all possible, have a box or a shelf that's just excess supply. This is just my just in case stuff. This may be a good time when you have gaps in your inventory to pull out the stale stuff. Supplement with some of these stale pieces. All right, what else do we have? How about, this kind of goes with gaps in inventory, but not having inventory for special shows. And when I say special shows, I mean, hold on. Oh yes, vacation. When I say special shows, I mean like holidays and raid trains. So first off, I have 2 questions. We all been invited to raid trains where it's like, it's a raid train on animals. The theme is animals. And you're like, oof, I may have a pen on the nest, or maybe I have a little statue of a duck. But you're like, I couldn't do a whole show on animals, right? Or you're seeing everybody else doing Christmas in July, and we get close to Christmas and you're seeing all these Christmas shows. And you're like, wow, I really kind of want to jump in on this, but you don't have Christmas stuff. So two questions I always ask myself for special shows. Do I want to participate based on the theme? Does it fit within my business strategy? So don't just because you're invited to a raid train doesn't mean you have to say yes. Are they good marketing? Yes, they're good marketing. Does not mean you have to participate in every raid train you're invited to. I frequently decline raid trains. Does it fit within your business strategy? If there is something that requires me to go and purchase items outside my normal sourcing just to meet a show, I'm not going to do it.
Good morning, Miss Echo.
Good morning, CG Boomerang Echo. I was talking about our show tonight this morning. Y'all, right there, CG Boomerang Echo. Give her a click, follow her if you are not. I know we have some new people in here today. If you want to learn about raid trains, she has a talk show every Thursday evening that talks solely about how to get on a raid train etiquette, what to do with raid trains, all of the good stuff. She is also a raid train conductor. And if you're just joining us, I'll go ahead and plug our show because I know sometimes she'll pop in to help us remember to plug them. So tonight we have the 12 on 12 raid train. So I mentioned it earlier, but the coolest thing about tonight is each one of us has to dress up like one of the 12 days of Christmas. And CG, I hope I'm going to make you proud. I'm not going for a partridge in a pear tree. I'm not going for easy. I went straight for hard right now. I am all in. Y'all need to come see me at 7:00 tonight. I have a rule for myself that I won't go out and buy a bunch of different inventory to take part in a raid train. Absolutely. Accept raid train invites that fit within your business strategy. If there's an animal raid train, I'm not going to be on it because I don't have a lot of animal stuff. Oh, okay. Here, my husband will show you really quick. Let's see. There you go. There's CG's site. There's the one tonight. Where's her show? Go down there, 12:18. That's the talk show if you guys want to learn about raid trains. I know we had questions earlier about that. Okay. So yeah, if it doesn't fit within your business strategy, you don't have to say yes. Now, if it fits within your strategy, if it's a raid train that says sell whatever you want, your normal items, I just want you to do a giveaway. Okay, cool. Well, let's take a step back. If you don't do giveaways, maybe you don't want to be on a giveaway raid train. I do giveaways here, like the postcards, but I normally don't accept or don't jump onto the trains that are solely giveaway raid trains. Every now and then I may, but not as a regular course of action because I normally don't do big giveaways. I like to sell stuff. I like to have some return on my efforts, right? For the seasonal ones, for the holiday type stuff, if you're into that, if you're into like Christmas or Easter, any of the holidays, and you want to participate, that this is part of your business strategy, have a shelf or a bin or a box, and throughout the year, fill it up so you're ready for that train or you're ready for those holidays. But don't just be like, oh, everybody's doing Christmas in July, and then you run out and you spend a bunch of money that you're never going to recoup on Christmas stuff just because you want to be part of something. Can a shop item appear in two upcoming shows? Yes, it can. You can assign an item to as many shows as you want to assign it to. The Lost Ledger. Now, it'll go on all the shows, and if it sells in the first show, it'll just automatically pull out of the other shows. One-offs cost money. One-offs can make you lose money. So trains where it's not part of your normal business or jumping on some type of theme that's not part of your normal business can cost you a significant amount of money and not have a good return on it. But speaking of that, let's go the other way. What is one theme you wish a seller would do? What's something that you haven't seen that you wish somebody would do? Kelly Uptown, you got that giveaway.
Congratulations.
I bought for a train raiding cats and dogs. Learned a valuable lesson. I have a lot of cat and dog thing items left in inventory that did not sell. The woven basket, that is exactly 100% right there what we're saying. Yep. So there's no themes that you guys, I'm not going to steal them. I have my set thing. So there's no themes that you wish a seller would do? None? No ideas? Wow, y'all are so quiet. Botanical. Ooh, I like that. That's pretty cool.
Kimmy D.
See, CG says she still has pirate stuff left over from 2 years ago on a raid train. Tea party. Oh, crystals. I'm all into a tea party theme. Zombies. See, look how creative these are. Now, what if you guys took that, if it fits within your business model, and did that? That would be kind of cool. Alice in Wonderland could be, you can mix Alice in Wonderland with the tea party. Look at this. We can like, you can like mix and match here. What if you were to lay all your stale inventory, because we've been talking about stale inventory, out on the floor? Love a chunk girl. What if you laid all your stale inventory and see if you can make a type of theme? You know, a theme doesn't have to be the same. Like, it doesn't have to be tea party. Your theme could be walking through various states. What if your stale inventory, you can say something that represented a state, that represented Georgia and Pennsylvania and Florida? Would that be a cool way to get rid of some of your stale inventory, but frame it in a way that makes it more appealing to buyers? Is there a way you can take your stale stuff and make it a theme? 1950s theme, that would be fun. Different princesses. So start thinking about what you have and how to get creative with it to make it sell, right? Because it's all about moving that inventory. It's all what we want to do as resellers here. How about having items that remind you, maybe your stale items, maybe the items that aren't selling really well for you, that remind you of various people in your life that you can tell stories about? I mean, maybe you'd have to make it entertaining, or other people on Whatnot, friends that you have had, that you can tell stories about as you show the item. If I had Mighty Patches, I would sell those and talk all about I Love Discounts. Or if I had Primitive, I would talk all about Southern Charm. Baby stuff, I would talk all about Brittany, even though she's not a seller, I'd still talk about her. And that's what Good Stuff says. You theme boxes. There you go. Who wants to help me put together Crystals? I want to be on it. I don't have time to like conduct one with you, but I want to be on it. So again, think about moving your inventory. We just came up with all kinds of themes. I don't know about you guys. My mind never stops. I never stops thinking about my business. I lay in bed at night and I'm thinking about, oh, I would love to do this raid train or this raid train. Not that I have time to do all of them, but I have all the ideas in my head. This raid train or that raid train, or maybe I could do this on my show. All right. How about, this would be a good problem to have. And I know there's going to be a lot of you going, yeah, Tracy, this would be a really great problem to have. Running out of inventory during a show. And I'm not talking about what you have in reserve, but you pick 40 or 50 items that you're going to sell, and you have an unexpected amount of buyers all of a sudden. And now instead of a 2-hour show, you just had a 30-minute show because everything just flew out the door, right? That's a good problem to have, but it's a concern. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle that? I've had this happen to me. Or you get bored. You start selling something. Bye, Felicia. You start selling something and you get really bored. Guilty. Southern Charm's been in one of my shows. It was an ephemera show. I was just bored as hell. I kept trying. I still have a bunch of ephemera in my storage that I need to, it's going to become stale inventory if I don't get rid of it. I have tried and tried and tried to sell ephemera, and I just find it's the most boring thing in the world to sell. I can't get excited about it. I try. I just can't get into it. So just send it to me. I might just start putting extras in your box. I literally had a show. I tried to sell 3 or 4 things. I'm just like, heck with it. Here's a big old pile. Somebody take the box. I think the show lasted 20 minutes. Do the ephemera de-stash. So these are all things you need to think about ahead of time. These are inventory issues that very well may happen. How are you going to handle it? Know your show flow. Southern Charm, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. Know your show flow.
Congratulations.
Go ahead, my love. I see you wanting to say something. Nope. Okay. Know how many items you sell approximately in an hour. Like wallpaper. It is fake. We have a green screen.
It's a green screen.
You can change the background. Can you on the fly? How good are you, honey?
I think I can. Let me try.
You did win. Congratulations. So know your show flow and know your shipping capacity. If you sell 50 items in an hour and a half, don't plan a 3-hour show. You're going to run out of items, right? There we go. Different background. What's back there? I don't even see it. What is that? Oh, it's like an old picture. So if you have 50 items and you know you sell them in an hour and a half, but you plan a 3-hour show, you're going to run. It looks like a dungeon.
In the doghouse.
You're going to run out of items to show. So know your show flow. Now he's playing. Now he's on a roll. He's going to be playing all the rest of the show. Before you start your show. And keep a backup box of items. Keep your stale items handy. Make sure that you're keeping those stale items somewhere that you can get to them easily during a show. Because if your show is hot, if you have a hot show going, people are buying left and right, things are selling faster than you expected, pull out them freaking stale items. Get them gone while the getting's good, right?
Even though the background is fake, you can see the tree in the background move.
Oh, wait.
So
Hold on, this way.
Tonight, 7:00, come check out the 12 on 12 Ray Train.
Okay, so keep your backup box of items. Here's the other thing. So Bama says you have a hard time preloading. Do random. I used to preload everything, and I still am a big proponent of preloading. I think it holds value. I think there are definite cons to preloading. Definite pros to preloading. Due to time and wanting to move inventory quickly, I have leaned heavily into only random pulls. You just make Tim go and grab stuff. See, that's it. Have a helper to go and grab stuff. If something is selling, I know you guys all know this, but I'm going to reiterate this point. There are a lot of sellers who will tell you, don't take request. It interrupts your show. You can control request. You can still do request in a controlled manner where you are still in charge of your show. If something is selling and it is hot and you have a couple more in the back or something similar, say, y'all, hold on. I see you guys are really into whatever it is. Let me go grab some more of those for you. Move your inventory. If you're running something, stretch out. When you're selling your items, this is kind of getting off inventory, but you've got to read the room. If you run one butter pat for a 10-second sudden death and it's going boom, 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 and those bids are going, run the next one for 15 seconds. Because if people are bidding, they want it. Give them a little more time next time to really get that price going, right? Read your room. If you have, unless you're doing a full show of something, I highly don't recommend doing 20 butter pats in one show mixed with other things, because I think you start to erode the price people will pay and they start selling for less and less. But if you do, make it exciting. Add a sudden death to it instead of doing your normal 10-second, 2-second restart or whatever it is. Read your room, change the method of which you're selling to keep that engagement and thus keep your items moving. All right. Last uncommon opinion here, or unpopular opinion, keep an inventory tracking system of some sort. It does not need to be confusing. It does not need to be hard. You need to keep some type of an inventory tracking system. Color-coded dots, an Excel spreadsheet, Vendoo. Vendoo is not made for inventory. Vendoo is a cross-listing app if you're not familiar with it. However, if you normally cross-list to other sites, you're selling on all those other sites, it could become an inventory a way to track your inventory, and it's actually pretty good at it. So some of these tools that you use may serve a dual purpose, even if they're not advertised for that purpose. Let me tell you how this can work using Vendoo. I don't get any commission. I'm not a rep or anything. It's just a tool that I've used and I find works for inventory management purposes. Now, my approach is It comes in the door, and it's for Whatnot. My main selling platform is Whatnot. It comes in, I tag it, it goes on a shelf. Hazy Ames, Paper and Crate, congratulations, you got that giveaway. We're going to run one more before we end for the day.
Congratulations.
All right. So I put a little colored sticker on there, which lets me know how much I paid for that item. It goes on one of my appropriate shelves based on what show I'm going to sell it in. Everything that comes in my door, the intended purpose is Whatnot. So you're using Venture. Oh, cool. It is a game changer. I will. I'm going to talk about that too. Thank you. My husband's reminding me about something, but I am going to talk about it. So I get a color tag. It goes for Whatnot. If it, for some reason, does not sell on Whatnot, then, and usually I have stuff that doesn't sell. Usually like my reverse auction doesn't sell all out. If I do something besides Dollar Star, it's free shipping. There's a good chance I'm not going to sell everything. And only then, if it doesn't sell on Whatnot, I photograph it, because now this is going to be an inventory that's going to sit for a little while, right? It's not just sitting for my next show. It's going to sit until somebody comes along in a static way to buy it. I then photograph it. I put it in Vendoo. I list it to the sites that it's going to go listed to, whatever those sites may be. I can't advertise. And now I have a complete listing in Vendoo of everything that I have statically listed. Everything else is for a upcoming Whatnot show. It is one or the other. I have 2 shelves of static listed items that I've drastically reduced, and everything else is for an upcoming Whatnot show. That's a very simple inventory tracking method for me. I created a master business tracker. Nice. Automated, that keeps track of inventory, SKU generator, sales, metric. Oh, I love it. I would love to see that, Kelly Uptown. You don't have to share, but that's the stuff that gets me all geeky excited. If you are a pre-lister, if you like to pre-list, say you just do Whatnot, you're not using Vendoo, you're not doing all the other stuff, but you're a pre-lister and you want an easy way to take pictures and get stuff into your inventory, go back up here. My husband will tag her. Crystal's Vintage Collection. She's about 8 up in the chat there. Click on her name. There she is right there. Go follow her. She does CVS. Is that it? CSV? CSV, which is you basically take a spreadsheet, and it's very easy. You fill out the spreadsheet. You can download it from Whatnot. There's a format it goes in, and basically it just talks about like your title, description, has all the normal inventory fields, like the item fields. You fill out the spreadsheet, and you can upload it straight into your Whatnot. A couple clicks of a button, it makes it super fast, and then you add your pictures in. She does talk shows that walks you through right there today at 3 p.m. that walks you through exactly how to do that. So if you feel, hey, I'm not super tech savvy, but I want a quick and easy way to pre-list my items, go and watch the show. It was an absolute game changer. I had been here for over a year on Whatnot and had never done that, and watched one of her shows. And now that's the only way that when I do pre-list, it's my exception on my pre-listing when I don't use Vendoo is for my reverse auctions. I do the CVS uploads, and then I just do it very like 1 or 2 pictures. Christelle, maybe can you answer Sunshine Vintage for me?
If you go to the help, you can find it in there.
Reiki Relics and Fossils is raiding with a party of 3.
Welcome in, Raiders. Grab your hats and step into Zoe's Treasures, where the relics aren't cursed. They are for sale.
Thank you for the raid. Are we going to show? You got it? All right. When somebody raids us, we like to give them a little shout out and show when their next show is and who they are. So really quick, here is Reiki Relics, sells jewelry. And if we scroll down, if we click on shows, let's go see a newer seller. Next show is today at 6:42. It looks like it's a Christmas show. Y'all, if that interests you, there you go. You can bookmark. Thanks so much for the raid. All right. So makes it a quick way. So what I was saying is the time when I use that CSV is for my reverse auctions. Use it all the time. Then if something doesn't sell, I go through the process of really writing a good description, taking very detailed pictures, and then it goes my normal way. You don't have a military. Oh, he doesn't have military time anymore, does he? when you go into create, there is a cloud with an arrow. There you go. So Crystals is saying, when you go into your inventory screen, I only know how to do this on a computer. I don't even know. I would assume you have to do this on a computer. So you go into your seller hub, then to inventory. When you're there, up in the top right, there's a little cloud with an arrow. If you click on that, there's a hyperlink to take you to the instructions. But if you're a visual person and you like to hear people explain it, go see her show. The Lost Ledger, you got that giveaway. Thank you so much. All the giveaways today, you guys, are 2 postcards. I have it listed in there. We get one more modern, one vintage one. All right. That is everything I had planned to talk about. Is there any inventory, things about inventory that you guys just had on your mind? You're like, what the heck do I do with this? You know, just anything. Any last questions before we go find somebody to raid into this morning? Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here. You know, like, honestly, I look forward to these shows. Throughout the week, I'm, you know, bouncing ideas off Noelle about, hey, maybe we can talk about this or maybe we can talk about that. We're getting close to the end of the year. December 26th on that show. So not next week. Let me look at my calendar. Let's see where we are. So we have next Friday's the 19th. I don't know what the topic is yet. I'll figure out something. Then the week after that, the 26th, I'm going to make our big announcement. We have the private collection coming. So we have some changes, some new things planned for 2026. And I'm going to get right to you there, Cracker Jack Box. So on the 26th, I'm going to do a really, really awesome giveaway, way out of my league, something I don't normally give away. We're giving away on the 26th, and I'm making our big announcement on what our private collection will be for this upcoming new year. Cracker Jack Box, I am late getting here, and I'd like to purchase one of your resources. Can you tell me where to start? Cracker Jack Box, what I would recommend for you, if you've never purchased one of my PDFs, message me your email. I will send you my free one. Check out the free one. It's 22 tools and whatnot. Kind of dives into various tools, how to use them standalone or with each other. If you like that, come back next Friday and we can pick out some more. Not that I'm discouraging sales, but this gives you a chance to see something for free and test me out before you buy. All right.
Good try, Southern Charm. Good try.
Absolutely. And that's just not for Cracker Jack Box. Any of you who have not bought a PDF but maybe are like, hey, I want to kind of see the quality here, because look, I know there's a lot of sellers that will sell PDFs and some are higher quality than others. I've heard that people get burned by them before. That is one of the reasons we do offer the free one, so you get a free test run before you commit any money for any of the other ones. All right. With that, we're going to go find somebody to raid. You guys have a great weekend. Come see me at 7 tonight. It's only a 10-minute spot. Southern Charm is also on tonight. I'm pretty sure you still on Friday nights. Go see her. And there's a lot of other great sellers here. So make sure you check them out. Oh, not tonight. Okay. But have a great weekend and we'll see you soon. Okay. I think we're going to go see Natural State of High because we haven't, I don't know. Did we go to her last weekend? We're going to go see her anyways because I like her. Maybe Inga. Let me see who's on.
Thanks for joining us.
Have
a wonderful rest of your day.
It has 7 people right now. So let's go check out Zodi. Yeah, me too, Southern Charm. I love Zodi.
For the Win Friday.
For the Win Friday. Are you going to close the show, my love? Bye, everybody.
Honey, what are you doing?
Really, Southern Charm? Really?